Alright, here we go. So we're playing some Ishizu tier limits. The meta has been changed. This deck is no longer as powerful as it once was. And not gonna lie, it's been kind of a struggle trying to figure out how to get this deck to play right. Because they did basically nerf a lot of shit in this deck. The Ishizu cards, the hit to that was like kind of big. The terraforming, if y'all know about me, I wasn't running terraforming in my deck anyways, but the Ishizu nerfs really make this deck harder to play. But it's okay. It's okay. So we're going to start off with Scream, go Rhino Heart. Oh yeah, and then the buffs to the other decks kind of hurt a little bit. This shit right here is annoying as fuck. I'm not gonna lie. That's like, it's good that they put that in there, but all it really does, it's almost like Konami got tired of people saying like, hey, this deck is tier 0, tier 0, tier 0, tier 0, tier 0. That they wanted to say, look, we're going to put the usage rate up here so you can see it's actually not tier 0, it's a tier 1 status. Like, because when I look at the tier limit cards, none of them are in tier 0 status. So it's like they're kind of like, look, let me show you. The closest card to being in a tier 0 status type deck or usage rate would be really just the Abyss Dweller. More people run that card than just about anything else that I've saw. So, just wanted to point that out there. But anyways, the other cards, like see, 45.6%, it's not tier 0. The other cards that are in the pack are like insane. The Sprite Sprint, I didn't know that card was coming out. So, seeing that card in the pack, it has made all the decks like so much fucking stronger, bro. Sprite is like one of the best decks in this game for sure now because of Sprite Sprint release. Not only Sprite Sprint, but even tier limits can benefit from it. Like Sprite Sprint is very powerful. Y'all are gonna see that card a lot now. Now we go ahead and go into Millenniumizer Strict because in case he activates something in the graveyard, my thought was that I would send Tragedy, he would activate Tragedy, and then I would negate with Millenniumizer Strict taking the Tragedy, but that's not what happened. So yeah, so I end up grabbing Sulliek right here, get a free draw, and that's some good value right there. Triple Tactics Talent. So I'm going to activate Abyss Dweller right here, activate Kid Kalos, and he is playing some Bestials. As y'all can see, he got Bestials in his grave. I go ahead and activate the Dweller in case he has some kind of graveyard effect. He then activates his Bestial, which is good for me because I got Tactics in hand. So he just made my Tactics live because he activated a monster effect. And he forced me to have to do a shuffle play right here, right? I have to shuffle that card back. I go into Sheeran, and then I go ahead and activate the Triple Tactics Talent, look into his hand, and I quickly, and he's got a Tragedy in hand right there. And I quickly realize that I need to stop this Super Poly right here, right? So if we remember what all he's got, that means I have to stop Brandy Fusion. So one negate that is needed. Fusion Deployment, that's two negates needed. I'm going to get rid of Super Poly because this can absolutely break my board without me being able to expect it or interact with it or anything. So I have to stop Super Poly. So I got to get that out of his hand. And then his Bestial is a interruption, which he's already attempted to use it, but it is once per turn. So I don't have to worry about it anymore for this turn. And then he's got Tragedy in hand. So we send that shit back with the Triple Tactics Talent. And then, yes, I am a fucking rookie sometimes, my boy. My dumbass put Dark and blocked the arrows because I just did not read this card. I just assumed that when it hits the field, it can revive anywhere. But now, I'll never make this mistake again. Summon it to a zone this card points to. So, I was like, he's got plenty of darks. I'm going to go into dark. Now, the reason I wanted to go into dark, to go into Sprite when I had a level 2 on the field, is so that way when I activate Snow, I can banish the dark from my graveyard. So basically it was just going to be an extra card in the graveyard. But I'm a dumbass though, so don't laugh at me. So I milled 7 cards out of my deck, 7 cards that I thought were pretty useless that I wasn't going to be able to really use anymore. And then I go into Sprite Elf right here. And because of my fuck up, I wasn't sure if I had any Ishizu cards. The timer was hitting low, so I just shuffled back some Ishizu cards. So then that way I can send with Diviner. So then that way I can send a level 6, which I should have known that I did have them. Go into Fairy Tale Snow right there, and then bring out Baron de Fleur. So that was a costly dark fuck up, because not only was I trying to make the Fairy Tale Snow one card less needed of material, now instead I've ended up banishing 14 cards out of my deck instead of the original 7. So yeah, I'm a dumbass sometimes myself. Now, we know that he has fusion deployment, we know that he has brandy fusion, we know that he has a bestial in hand and then a tragedy. And then he's going to draw one random card that we don't know what it is. Let's look at what we have as far as interruption goes. We got the Merly that can be revived off Sprite, or we could revive Diviner off of the Sprite. And then we also have Graveyard Interruption from Fairy Tale Snow, being able to banish 7 cards. Of course, I don't want to banish none of this shit, so I do not intend on actually using the Fairy Tale Snow. We also have in our hand, we got a hand trap Haviness. So if he activates a monster effect on field, basically we can summon Haviness and mill 3 cards. Then, as far as field goes, let's start off with the tier limits cards. Might as well, why not? So the trap, of course, if I shuffle, do any shuffle plays, basically I can pop a card on the field. Sulliek is a monster negate, and Crime is a omni negate, and Scream is a mill 3. All 3 of these have to have a tier limit on the field for them to be able to activate. So what that means is this card will send a tier limit off the field to activate, in which I can basically trigger a special summon, or a fusion summon, I should say, because what I can do is activate Haviness when they activate a monster effect, summon Haviness, negate the monster effect with Sulliek, then that would send Haviness to the grave, fusion summoning, also shuffling, and then I'd be able to pop the card if I wanted to. Whatever the case may be, it would make plays, and I'd be able to fusion summon all at the same time, right? But he does have a bestial, so my goal also, if that Haviness play doesn't come up first, and the other first play that I have is Sprite Elf, I can revive Merly. That'll be a tier limit. That'll give me access to a Omni negate and then a monster negate there. We still have Omni negate from Baron de Fleur. We got Abyss Dweller, which can shut off his graveyard. Monster negate with Millennium Eyes Restrict as well. So if he does normal a monster, I can negate it with Millennium Eyes Restrict if I choose to do that route. Yeah. So let's see what happens. So the first thing I do is activate Abyss Dweller, and the reason I activate Abyss Dweller right away is because he can't stop Abyss Dweller, bro. Like if he were to draw Imperm and then he Impermed, it wouldn't be able to stop this. He would have to hit Sprite Elf first, and by that point, it would stop my Sprite Elf if I didn't Omni negate it right here. So I mean, yeah, but he ain't stopping me, bro. So he goes Branded Lost first. I let that resolve because I don't care. All I do is just change Sprite Elf to that. Then he chains his Bestial to that. And then I chain my Baron de Fleur to that. Finally, just getting rid of the Bestial. So now we know he had Branded Lost. He had the Bestial. We know that he has Fusion Deployment and Tragedy in hand. And then I believe that's it, if I'm not mistaken. And one more random card that we don't know about. So I go ahead and mill, and I hit 2 Ishizu cards. So I shuffle back some stuff to go into Rule Colossus and then into Kaleido Heart. Put Kaleido Heart onto the field, and I just send this card off the field back into his graveyard. Back into his deck, instead of just popping it with the field spell. The reason I do that is in case I send this card off the field for whatever reason with an effect, I want it to still have access to this card in case I were to go into another fusion summon or whatever the case may be. It's harder to pop this card and get it off the field than it is this one. This one can be destroyed by a monster, all type of shit. Like it can be kaiju'd, all type of shit. So I just wanted to make sure that I use this card's effect first over this one. Alright, now that we got 2 tier limits monsters on the field, we got access to our Omni Negate and our monster negate there. He's going to activate that fusion deployment. I negate that with Rule Close because it is a special summon negate. Bring it right back onto the field. He's then going to activate Branded Fusion, thus me revealing that I was holding a crime and negating that, which is the final Omni Negate. Now at this point, all I really have is a Havness that cannot hit the field because there's no space to actually summon a Havness. But we do have a Sulliek, so Sulliek will be able to activate and negate a monster effect on the field. And then we still also have Millenniumizer Strict, so the only thing he can really do with this Tragedy, if this is Tragedy, did he send Tragedy? Yeah, so yeah, he didn't send Tragedy, so that is Tragedy, so he can't really do anything but summon that onto the field and just run into Millenniumizer Strict, I guess. So yeah, GG's, my boy. Catch y'all on the next one. Peace.